Hello, my friends. My name is Sarres. I'm CEO of GoLedger, a company that specializes in blockchain development. Here with me is Samuel Venzi, GoLedger CTO. And before we begin, we'd like to explain a little bit who we are. We actually are a software house based on Hyperledger Fabric artifacts that have been developed in this way for up to 5 years right now. And basically, what I'm going to show this part of development and the chain code and the library we actually use in our clients. These are some of our clients that we do have for this time. For example, Petrobras is the biggest Brazilian company, Banco do Brasil, the biggest bank of Brazil, and also Eletrobras, the Brazilian electricity company, and also Ecotrace, that's the kind of the branch of one of the biggest companies of the world, that's JBS, that do animal protein traceability using our artifacts, and some startups as well. For example, this is Tomb Traders that do tokenizations of music copyrights. That's some of our examples that we have developing using GoLedger CC tools. But for us, there are developers. The basic thing, when we start to develop a new chain code and start to architecture a new blockchain, there are some steps we need to pass by. For example, data mapping. We need to architecture all the assets and see how they work and see how they're going to be shared among all the organizations that are defined by the Hyperledger Fabric MSPs. And also, all the definition of the transactions that probably the most important part of the chain code are all the methods that I'm going to create using this so they can go to the Hyperledger Fabric workflow. But there are some problems we need to tackle when you start developing and you're doing this for a while. For example, the code standardization to make everything the same way to all people, to all my team and to other people, all the other employees and the other developers that are going to work with the code. And also the definition of the assets, the properties inside the assets, all the permissioning. For example, if I want some part of the assets to be modified or created only by certain MSPs, that to define it this way. Also private data, the transactions, all its parameters, all the permissioning. For example, which organization can call a method, that's something important. And also when I create a transaction, the integration with the APIs, that's really important for us to work with. But let's watch one of the examples, the basic examples of Hyperledger Fabric providers. Comes from the GitHub Fabric sample. This is the Fab car example. You can see here, if I want to define a new card, I have to make this struct and make this is a GoLang code, so I can make and create all the definitions, the properties, and also when I receive an invoke transaction, I must send to one method or another. It's not such a good way to work with. So for us in GoLedger, we start to develop a library that would make everything more easy to the developers. Led by Samuel Venzi, we did a library with GoLang, so we can work with some issues like standardizations of assets keys, asset reference. For example, if I have an asset inside an asset, how can I work with? And also to customize data types or property inside the assets. I want this property to be only an integer or only a string or only a date or something like that, and no other than this to make all these data types. And also management of the MSPs, as I told before, the management of transactions, the right permissions of the assets, private data management, and all the PDCs, the private data collections. And one thing that we provide is a group of transactions that are already available. Probably it's not only accrued, but also you can if you use Hyperledger GoLedger CC Tools library, you will able instantly to use create asset history, update the asset, delete the asset, search with pagination. It's not need for you to develop everything again. It's already there for you. Customize the transactions. All the transactions are integrated with the API and permissioned. Okay, let's go. This is a quick example. I'm going to give a live example. This is an example of a definition of an asset that we will do using GoLedger CC tools. So we can see all the examples and also the example of the transactions. I'm going to go in a more detailed way in the live example. This is a transaction example that you can see how we define all the little details of the transactions, the parameters, and how it's called by the API and stuff like that. And also some other artifacts, for example, unity testing if you want to. We also provide source code for an API that's also compatible with GoLedger CC tools that already had all the endpoints necessary for you to do the basic calling the basic transactions. And this is one I like the most, is a web app that's already, you can use for you to make all the calls, to see the assets and to read them and to call all the transactions and stuff. We call it GoInitus. It's available for anyone that can work with. And if you develop anything with GoLedger CC tools, you can integrate with our orchestrator. If you want to go, for example, to a production network from development mode to a production network. For those of you who did not watch my earlier presentation about orchestration with GoFabric, I recommend. It's probably be in YouTube soon, so you can see how it works using that. And this demonstration right now, it's already available on YouTube. You can watch them if you want the demonstration we have. Right now, I'm going, and the other thing I forgot to say, it's open source. For anyone that wants to use GoLedger CC tools, is open source. So right now we are going to do a live demonstration for us. Let me show you. When we start using GoLedger CC tools, the first thing you must do, first of all, is to go at the repository that's GoLedger dev-CC tools demo. So you can download this repository right here. You will be able to see to test, to make out the testing. It basically will create a tree organization network inside the machines for you to test everything and to make a simple test with several transactions that are available for this code. Let's watch the code right now. Let's see how this repository is defined. For example, I have these directories here. The first one is the chain code directory that it's separated, segregated in some other directories. For example, the assets types is where I define all my assets. Right here I have some examples. Let's see the person asset. This here I can see how I create first of all, I define how it's going to be called by the APIs or inside the chain codes. Its assets called a person, and after that I define all its properties. And each property I can show how it's going to be defined. For example, if it is a primary key or if it is a composite key. And other than that, this writer argument here, I will define which MSPs will be able to create or modify any of this information, this simple information here that will be defined here. And the other properties as well, I can see, for example, the next one, it's a string property of its name, it's the name of the person, and it also does have a validation function. This validation is called whenever this property is supposed to be modified. And other than the validation function, I also had another feature that are the custom data types. I can create and organize it in this directory here, custom data types for you to define the more complex data types for each properties. For example, this is the book type that is actually a set enum for my properties. let's go back to the book. Let's go to the book asset right now. For example, this is the asset book that I can see here. Here is a composite key. It actually uses two keys, two strings to make a composite key. The first key is the title. The second key is the author as the string, and they do have this writer permission here. That's really only organization 2 will be allowed to define, to modify this information. And other than that, we can see this other property here that's very interesting. This property is its type. It's a type person, is a referency to other assets. So other than I have the information here, I will refer to other assets. That's asset. This is the property current tenant of the book, and the asset and the data type, it's the person. And the data type is the person. And we also have, other than that, let's go to the library. Let's go to the library asset right here. So I can see, for example, this property here, it's the books. It's actually a list of referency of assets. So you can see how complex it goes. Let's make a transaction right here. This network is already up. It's a tree organization network that's deployed on Samuel's VM, and I already connected the web app I had told you. So I can create, let's call the create transaction right here. We can say, we can pass, as you can see, the web app already been set up to connect to all the properties that have been defined. And right now, if I click curl, I can see how the legacy system, any systems can call the API to call the transactions right here. And of course, let's call this transaction. Okay, I've just created a person, and that's it. So I can see all the information. If I click curl right there, I can see the search method that's available. Let's modify this information. Let's modify the person right now. Let's do a live modification, an upgrade of the code. Let's create a new properties. Let's call it address, the address of the person. So after this network is already online, and I want to change the property of the property schema of an asset. Okay, that's it. So I just need to put all the information here, and then I do have some artifacts. I do have some scripts, and this script right here is going to upgrade the code. It takes some seconds. We do have, we are very short on time. Let's, as long as it's being upgraded, let's see a little bit about the custom transactions. So this is here the txdefs directory. I can see some transactions I can work with. For example, this is the create new library transaction. That's let's see how I define it. It has a name. It has, for example, I define the method that the REST API will call this transaction, will invoke this transaction. It's a post method, and it also has some arguments. I define all the arguments that it should have here. I can do very complex things. So after that, I receive all the arguments, I treat them, and I call some. There is a wrap for the chain code interface, so I can use all CC2's library methods. For example, this put new is a method that wraps put state method for the chain code interface, and actually checks if is there any other assets with the same primary key and stuff like that. So after then I finish and everything works okay, it returns to the API. Okay, let's see the chain code upgraded. Is still upgraded. So let's continue. Let's see, for an example, upgraded. Okay, so let's go back to the web app. As you can see here, I'm reloading right now. I can see. Let's see the person right now. I do have the address. Let's call the update address information. and let's create new information. For example, this is Brasilia. We did not have the address, this property before. Right now, let's click on the read the asset history, and let's see the ledger. This is actually an endpoint that we provide that shows the ledger, the MSP that signed the transactions, the timestamp of each transactions, and now the modifications that we had right here. Okay, guys, this is basically what we want to show a little bit for you. If you have some questions, we'll be willing to answer it. Thank you so much for your attention. Okay.
I like it. It's a great system. There's this edit button, yeah? And so I'm kind of wondering if an edit button and immutability somehow don't match up. How is this? Do we lose immutability?
Okay, you asking about the edit button. Is asking calling the update asset information. So it's although it's editing the asset, you can see here that the old information, the history is immutable. This information here that you can see, this is immutable. It's impossible for you have to destroy the network and all the nodes and all the peers for you to erase everything. But other than that, this is only going to create a new transaction and add here so you can upload your word state at Hyperledger Fabric.
Don't you then get two instances of the same asset?
It's actually the same instance, but it has a ledger. It does has a ledger for the same instance. And actually, this ID here is the primary key. Or whenever you search for this primary key in your blockchain network, you see the same ledger and the same information. All right, thank you so much.